What is going on, everybody? You guys knew the heavenly bodies would eventually collide, and that me and Jay would again collab. It's been a long time. I think it's been, like Jay said off screen, since August in the preseason, but it's finally happening again. Jay came to me with an idea after I said something on Twitter. I said yes. So here we are, me and Jay, Saturday night, day before the game. I'll let Jay introduce himself because that's just how we do it here. So, Jay, take it away.
Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. Pleasure to be back on with you, 49ers First Takes. It's been too long.
Nice.
We haven't collabed since August, so it's back. I'm glad to be back in with you and your audience and talk about some 49ers and Panthers football. I'm glad the sky is no longer falling.
At least for a week, right?
Twitter world.
We can agree. Me and you have always been able to agree to disagree and still remain cordial.
Ooh, yeah.
Some people can't do that, man. Like, you have a different opinion? I can't deal with you anymore. How dare you? I want to say real quick, what's up to Ty Alston? He's been a real big supporter lately of the channel. Thank you very much. He says, this is going to be good. Damn Skippy. We got Mariah Faithfully in here from the 49er Faithfully podcast. What is going on, Mariah? 49er Throwback. He's always in here. He's always on Twitter supporting me. I just want to say thank you very much. You said you like the 49er cap. The cup. Yeah, I've had that for a while. I have a couple little trinkets here and there, 49er stuff. But for the most part, it's like jerseys and hoodies and hats. So I figure we get into it, man. It's been a while, but we're coming up on a game tomorrow where, it's not a sexy matchup. It's a matchup the 49ers should really kind of, for all intents and purposes, blow the doors off these guys. But the current state of the 49ers and how things are, and I'm not trying to bash Jimmy, but Jimmy's Jimmy, and he is limited, and we are, as far as we could be so much more, but he is what he is. So like, this might not be as like people think it might be a blowout or a one-sided affair. I mean, Carolina has a good defense, and they've held a lot of teams to not too many points, and their matchups have been close, even though they're 1-2. So how are you feeling about this? Are you super kind of enthusiastic? Do you think we're going to blow the doors off these guys, or are you kind of coming at it with a little bit more of a tepid mindset because just how things have gone so far?
Sunday, 1:05 Pacific Standard Time. It can't come any sooner. The 49ers are going to beat the brakes off the good old Carolina Panthers.
There you go.
I have no concerns about the Carolina Panthers offense. There's no one that scares me on their offense. They do have some names. You look at their depth chart, you look at their roster. They do have some guys that can make some plays, but this 49ers defense, and I know we'll get into it later, is elite. It is, I think, the best defense under Kyle Shanahan, and bravo, clap to John Lynch for getting this roster together, especially this defensive roster. And like I said before, the Panthers, they got C-Mac at running back, Christian McCaffrey. He's good when he's healthy, but they have an anchor in a bad way, the Panthers have, and that is Baker Mayfield at quarterback. I mean, this guy is terrible. I know his number one fan is Skip Bayless, and I can't wait to see Skip and Shannon Monday morning on Undisputed, but Baker's terrible. He's only completing about 54% of his passes. And they do have skill guys. They do got some guys that can make some plays, but the Baker can't get him the ball. It's just that simple. And like, as you mentioned, the Panthers, they have played a few other good teams, but they haven't played the best defense in the NFL. You look at statistically, we are like 1-2 with the Buffalo Bills in a lot of the defensive categories. Not only can we get after the quarterback, we intercept the ball, we get turnovers, and the Panthers, they also rank second most in penalties. So not only are they a bad team, they're a dysfunctional team. They're not a disciplined team. And the 49ers should be able to take care of that. I'm predicting a blowout. If you can't tell, I'm predicting a blowout. I think the 49ers should win this by multiple touchdowns. Easy.
I want to be that positive, but something about these kind of games that are sure things, that are absolutes, scare me personally. I'm not saying the Niners are going to play down to their competition, but you know, Jimmy's not quite where he needs to be. He had some issues. He didn't do a lot of off-season stuff. Kittle kind of not there either. I just have this weird feeling that we're going to play them close for a while. Now, we might pull away at the end and still win by a couple touchdowns, but, I think I forgot who was on my Twitter when they responded to it. He thinks that it's only going to be like a one touchdown game. And I kind of have that feeling only because I feel like we're going into this game with so much high expectation that we're going to absolutely just like road grade these guys. And I feel like when that happens and there's no pressure on a team like Carolina, those are the games that kind of scare me. It's weird. The Niners can get up for a team like the Rams, right?
Yeah.
And just look so dominant. And then you go into Carolina next week and it's like, oh, we're going to kill these guys. And that scares me because I think players get that mindset too. I think players allow themselves to get like that when they see teams on a schedule. So maybe
I would hope not. I would hope not. I mean, the Panthers, they are at home. They're only 1-3 to start the season. Matt Rule is in probably his last year with the team. I think there is pressure on the Panthers, but I just don't see how they're going to move the ball. They have a 25% third down conversion rate. That's terrible. You can't win games like that. I just don't see how the Panthers are going to move the ball offensively. I just don't see how they can move the ball. I just don't see it.
I'm gonna remember what you said, and hopefully you're right. You know what it is. It's like everybody is super like enthusiastic after the win last week, right? And I was really excited too. I was really, really happy. What happens though is sometimes I think we kind of lose sight of the whole journey that we still got to go on during the season. And I am one of those people that I'm almost like the players. I celebrate it for like 24 hours. And then by like Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm already like, all right, business time. What do we got to do to beat Carolina? What do we got to do to beat a team that we should and beat them soundly? In the NFL is what it is. There's so much parity. Teams play close that don't belong in the same building sometimes. It just happens. But the Niners are roster-wise, it's not even a comparison. I mean, even Jimmy Garoppolo, for what he is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. And I know that doesn't say too much, but I think the Niners have a lot of, if you had to list everything and have green check marks on everything, I think the Niners would have pretty much every green check mark down the board. So we'll see. Maybe you're right. Maybe this game becomes a laugher and I can relax, because usually when I watch games, I'm like super tense and super anxious. So my nails definitely take a beating. What were you going to say?
I think that's fair to, not take the Panthers lightly. And I think that's how the 49ers players should go into this game. They should go into this game. Don't look at the record. Just look at a team that you are better than, but you still need to go out there and put forth, maximum effort. I know Nick Bosa is going to go out there with maximum effort. He loves to play against Baker Mayfield. So, I'm very confident that we'll take care of business, and we should win this game fairly easily. I think the only thing that could hold us back is if we, beat ourselves with penalties, or Jimmy's throwing interceptions. I've never said that before, right? I mean, Jimmy can do that, but I guess I'm not really concerned about the offense. I think we can win this game, scoring 17, maybe 20 points. I just don't think this 49ers defense is going to let up. I just don't see Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's got the third worst QBR in the NFL. The only two players who are better, Mitch Trubisky, who just got benched, and Justin Fields. That's pretty terrible. You can't get worse than that. No. So I'm not a believer in Baker at all. And I think he will continue to struggle against the best defense in the NFL. And look at our secondary. We're getting Jimmy Ward back. I mean, I'm excited.
The more and more I'm listening, and the more and more I'm starting to kind of slide into your direction about how I'm feeling about tomorrow's game. But
I would say this. The only question mark, we got a third string left tackle, right?
Yeah.
So they have Brian Burns. He's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at their roster, they have other notable names, but they really haven't been able to put together. You look at their pressure rate; it's like the middle of the pack of the NFL. They only have 6 sacks so far this NFL season, which is not a lot in 4
That's what
games.
Nick Bosa has by himself.
Exactly. So they can't really get after the quarterback. They got some young guys in the secondary. It's just a lackluster team. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, damn it, everybody. That being said, the Niners are going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. Okay, we're not playing around. I really think that we're gonna really put the brakes to beat the brakes off these guys. That people would say. Speaking of the offense, the next topic, the offense has been lackluster to say the least. I mean, the defense is really winning in the wins and the losses has really been kind of the dominant side of the ball. What can Kyle Shanahan do to get this offense going? Do you think that the Niners need to somehow maybe not settle on just using certain guys in the running game and maybe start to give a Jordan Mason a touch here or there, to give a Marlon Mack a touch, maybe less Debo in the backfield, and maybe, I don't know. What can the Niners do to start getting more points on the board? Is it just a matter of Jimmy maybe still being rusty? I mean, Jimmy is Jimmy, but he has had some games where he looks pretty damn good, and can move the ball around. What do you think the Niners need to do to get that offense kind of clicking?
Well, you mentioned Debo Samuel, and he only had 2 carries last week, so I think that was good. I don't think he needs to run that often. I think this offense is kind of what it is. I don't know necessarily if he can get any better. I would love to see another rotation of running backs. I like Jeff Wilson Jr. I like him. I don't love him. I think he's solid. I think he's looked pretty good for Jeff Wilson Jr. standards. But I would love to see a Jordan Mason. I'm hoping that we see a Jordan Mason in this game, specifically if it's a blowout. But Shanahan loves his veterans. Shanahan, we saw it last year with Tom Compton. We saw it last year with Josh Norman. He's going to ride Jeff Wilson Jr. till the wheels fall off. We even signed Tevin Coleman. Hey, Shanahan, he knows the system. We know what Tevin Coleman can do. I think, honestly, Tevin Coleman will probably get more carries than Jordan Mason. I mean, I don't want to see that. But I think that's probably what's going to come to fruition. Now, for this 49ers, I think to get a little bit better, we got to involve George Kittle. I mean, he didn't even get a target last week in the first half. I mean, Jimmy, what are you doing? Whether it's Jimmy not looking his way, whether it's Shanahan not calling easy plays to get Kittle involved in the offense. Granted, some people will say, hey, we need Kittle in the blocking game, which, okay, I agree with you. But why not give Charlie Warner some of those snaps where he lines up next to Jalen Moore this week? Or hell, maybe even motion Juice into that tight end spot. Like, allow George Kittle to be a threat. We know there's no one on defense in the NFL who can cover him. He's a mismatch nightmare. So I would say to make this offense even just a little bit better, get George Kittle more involved in the passing game. And I think Jimmy, this is who Jimmy is. He's a game manager. He's perfected that horizontal passing game. Like that's our explosive plays. Like, Miami's explosive plays. Hey, Tua, just throw it deep to Tyreek Hill, right? Our explosive plays is, hey, throw it behind the line of scrimmage to Debo. He got to break 50-11 tackles to get to the end zone. Like that's our
sad but true. Sad but true.
Yeah. So Jimmy's not going to throw deep. At least Shanahan doesn't ask him to throw deep. And people mention, I mentioned I think get Juice involved as well. Get Juice involved more in the passing game.
Yeah. Juice
is open at least a few plays a game, and sometimes Jimmy doesn't see it. But here's the thing, and people say that Jimmy doesn't hit the deep route. And I think people that watch the All 22, I think it's great that the NFL offers that. But then also it's like, oh, well, the guy's open. You're supposed to throw always to the open receiver, but it's not that easy. It's not that simple. I mean, Jimmy's got 3 or 4 seconds to make a decision. And before every passing play, trust me, Kyle Shanahan has told Jimmy where to go with the football. I don't think Kyle really relies on Jimmy to necessarily read the defense. I think on any given play, Shanahan expects a certain defensive coverage. And if they see that, okay, Jimmy, go to IU, go to Debo, go to Kittle, whatever. And Jimmy, he doesn't read the field. That's not one of his strong suits, because I think if that was Trey Lance, I think he would have threw it to Juice. I think so, when he was wide open. But Jimmy, he doesn't. I don't think he necessarily looks for those deep routes. He's looking to get rid of the ball quick, soon, in a hurry. He's not really looking for those deep routes. But to answer your question, get Kittle involved more in the passing game, get Juice involved, and then if we have an effective run game, we're good. And Jimmy could throw the ball less than 22 times a game. I think we're good.
I think we missed the explosive Raheem Mostert part of our offense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't have a quick hitter other than Debo. We don't have a guy that can just all of a sudden take it 80 yards, take two jukes in a cloud of dust.
Right.
I think we miss Elijah Mitchell.
Yes.
I think he's more explosive than Jeff Wilson Jr. I love Jeff Wilson Jr., but he is a backup running back. He's very hot and cold, He'll hit you with a 30-yard run, and then he'll go silent for 2 quarters. You know what I mean?
He'll average about three and a half, yards per carry the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's really it is what it is. As far as Jimmy, it's like every quarterback misses reads. I just think with Jimmy, everything is and listen, I'm not a Jimmy guy, but I think a lot of things sometimes are. Yeah, things are magnified even more because of who he is. But I mean, they were showing Russell Wilson missing the read. Yeah. To the receiver that he didn't throw to. I don't know if it was it CeeDee Lamb? I forgot exactly who it was.
I think it was KJ Hamler, I think.
Yeah, not CeeDee Lamb. I'm thinking he's on another team.
Jerry Jeudy, one of those two guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy flipped out.
Yeah, I think Hamler.
To me, this offense, you're right, it's a horizontal offense. It doesn't go up and down the field. You can watch every game and expect a different Jimmy, and unfortunately, it's not going to happen. He is who he is.
He's not throwing deep. He's trying to get rid of the ball as soon as possible.
Yep.
I think he does read the defense, but he's not necessarily reading it to hit the big play. That's the thing. Trey Lance, when he's in there, he's looking to hit the big play. Jimmy is like, let me get rid of this ball. And
Jimmy will have a great completion percentage, but he'll have like 45 yards. Trey will have like under 50%, but he'll have like 150 yards because he took 2 deep shots and one of them hit.
And this is who Jimmy is. And like you said, we can't expect anything different. We just have, I just hope, honestly, the bar is set so low for Jimmy for me. And you know me, First Takes, I've been a big Jimmy G supporter.
Yes, you have.
Obviously, before we drafted Trey Lance. And, hey, this is who Jimmy is. He's just going to get rid of the ball quick, not looking for the big play. And as I mentioned, the bar is set so low for Jimmy that if he doesn't throw an interception, that's really what I like.
That's really sad. That's really sad. In 2022, when we have quarterbacks that throw for 5,000 yards, and we're just excited that a guy doesn't throw a pick.
Just don't throw a pick.
Oh, man. Lordy. How the mighty have fallen. We went from Joe Montana to Steve Young to now we got a guy. We just hope he doesn't throw an interception.
Those days long gone, man. Those guys ain't walking through that door.
Kim Ferrison made a good point. He says Jimmy might not even have to throw more than 50, 20 times. If this game goes the way Kyle Shanahan wants it, the Niners are running the ball 35 times.
Yeah.
And throwing the ball less than 20. That's a Kyle Shanahan game plan.
And the Panthers, just to add this note, the Panthers, they have the 8th worst rushing defense in the NFL. They on average, they allow 134 yards per game, and they average per carry 4.1 yards per game. Now, you compare that to the Niners run defense, we average only 2.9 yards per carry. So that's a huge difference.
Well, the Niners are first in a lot of categories now as far as defense. Real quickly, I just want to say yes, very much, please. Hit that like button, y'all. Get this channel, get the algorithms liking me. I've been live streaming since I came back a couple of weeks ago, and it's been tough sledding. It's okay, though. You know what? I'm happy to be back doing this. And, things will come in time. But, the likes, help people find the channel. And it just shows support. And if you can do it, great. I would totally love it. Speaking of Jay in the Bay, all his information, his Instagram, his Twitter, his YouTube is all in the descriptions. Jay is one of my better YouTube friends.
Absolutely.
Someone who I met about 2 years ago, and I'm glad I did. One of the better people in the 49ers community. You know,
Appreciate that.
You're a good guy. You're a good dude. And we have, anytime me and you talk, I always feel like I'm better for it. So I'm glad. It's been a long time with us, and we're like totally different on so many levels. But
that's why it's always great to collab.
One thing we can agree on is how much we love the 49ers.
Hey, that's
we really love the red and gold. And I know all of us here do. Listen, I'll put it to you like this. I'm not happy Jimmy's a quarterback, but unfortunately, he is the quarterback.
Yeah.
Do I wish Trey Lance was playing right now? Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I got to support what's there. And hope he does well enough to stay out of the way and that we win. I sounds really kind of like I'm trying to skate the issue, or maybe go between two different things, but I don't want him to play bad and be like, see, he sucks. I want him to play good. I want him to play average to slightly above average football. Jay Ty Olsen says, Jay, how much did you pay? He didn't pay me nothing. He didn't pay me nothing. He doesning have my Venmo or anything like that.
That's funny.
Oh Lordy. Speaking of the 49ers and things we're getting that we've been accustomed to for years now, is injuries. They're mounting. Let's talk first, before we talk about Ward and Verrett coming back and Ward being activated. Let's talk about both our D tackles and then what kind of situation. You know, we have a lot of depth on our defensive line, but unfortunately, when depth starts to get tested, then I start to worry. You know what I mean? If it's one guy, but when it's two guys, and it's like, man, you know what I mean? Two of them are super important to I think, just of the rotation of keeping guys healthy. Let's talk about Eric Armstead. It was said that he had plantar fasciitis. I've dealt with that before. I deal with it from time to time. And then he developed something in his other foot. How concerned are you about him being out? And I guess I'll ask you too, Kinlaw. I mean, the Kinlaw situation, apparently I thought we squashed this, you know. We had the big to-do with him and Grant and all that stuff. And he took offense to, you know, people saying he was injury prone and this, that, and the other. And now it's kind of back to where we started from. So what do you take on both these guys being hurt, and how concerned are you?
Yeah, both of these injuries I think will be long-term with Eric Armstead. The only way to get rid of the plantar fasciitis, I'm not sure if it's through surgery, but I know you can't be, playing NFL downs and rushing the quarterback and tackling ball carriers. That's definitely not a way to let your foot heal. Shanahan mentioned that Armstead could be an IR candidate because he won't be playing in this game. And it's just something that the only way it gets better, you got to rest it. You got to stay off your feet. And unfortunately, that's the injury that's going to linger throughout the whole issue. And I think it's going to be like a pain tolerance thing for Eric, where we saw in last week's game where he played, I think, the first 3 quarters, and then he didn't play in the 4th quarter because, you know, it flared up on him. And now I don't know what, did they specify if he has it in the other foot as well? Or they just
I only heard that he had it in one foot, and then Shanahan said something about he now has something going on in his other foot. It could be both feet, or I don't know, he twisted an ankle or something in the other. No one knows.
That's terrible. I think Eric Armstead was playing some of his best football. I would say the last 2, I guess you can't count really this year, but last year was probably his best season.
He's been relatively healthy too for the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's been relatively healthy, and unfortunately, he's got the injury bug. And I think the 49ers are going to have to look at drafting another defensive tackle next year, because you look at the Javon Kinlaw first-round pick. I know we drafted him to kind of ease the, basically because we traded Buckner. So we were like, hey, we got to strike big. We got to get a defensive tackle. We have to make that a priority. And I think it's safe to say the 49ers struck out on that. And I'm usually one of the most optimistic people when it comes to 49er players. And, no, this guy isn't injury prone. You got to give him time. But like you said, man, he had the knee surgery last year. We thought it cleaned up, but it seems like this is going to be an ongoing issue with Javon. And it sucks because I think he is talented. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to see consistent body of work where he's been able to stay healthy for an entire season. So it's unfortunate that he's got the knee issue. Supposedly the 49ers knew about the knee issue when he was drafted. So I mean, I could see you taking a chance on a guy, but not in the first round.
Not in a top 15 pick.
No.
Top 15 picks are expected to be all pros.
Right.
And he's played well below that when he has played.
Yeah. And he came into camp, great shape.
Yeah.
Like he put in the
like
work.
A Greek god.
Yeah, he puts in the work. There's no question about that. But it's almost like it's not his fault. It's his body, and it's not allowing him to play consistently. So, hey, you mentioned we have depth along the defensive line. I think Givens is playing great. Ridgeway's playing pretty good. We have Akeem Spence.
Yep. The Niners active. Yep.
I think we have Alex Barrett on the practice squad. He's been with us on the practice squad for, I think, at least the last year or so. So if one of those guys goes down, then I think the 49ers will probably go out in free agency and get a defensive tackle. But I think that's honestly, you look at the defense, that's the only weak point is the middle of the defense. And I think it's due to the lack of depth there, because I think it's going to be a reoccurring issue. Armstead and Kinlaw, they're going to be on the injury report. Sometimes they'll practice, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll start the game, and a lot of times they won't be able to finish. What's good, Silverado Kev? How you doing, man?
But Silverado Kev says, "What's poppin', fam? Just got done with the show and slid through here. 49ers First Takes and Jay in the Bay. What's up, man? Thank you very much, Kev. I love you, man. Big props to him.
Real talk, we got to talk in the building.
Hell yeah, he's one of the many. I love their show. That's probably the most entertaining YouTube show, 49ers show. I legitimately laugh." Especially when they play that thing from Stephen A. Smith where he's we don't care.
Yeah, they have a lot of sound bites in that.
Yeah, Don has that soundboard playing, and it's beautiful. Some people, I don't think they can take it. I've seen people go in there and be like, it looks like their head is spinning. To me, it's like going to a website and listening to sound bites and playing sound bites from different movies and just be like, oh, what about this one? What about this one? That's Don on the controls, man. I love it.
They definitely put a smile on your face when you're watching. That's for sure. And it's very informative. Very informative.
I love that. I love that channel. Yeah. And the fact is, I think they only stream a couple days a week, and they have a huge impact in the Niners community. So
absolutely,
really happy to see you in here, Kev. Even if it's for a short time, a long time, as long as you come in here, it's always much appreciated. And I know Jay appreciates the same thing on his channel too. I forgot what I was going to say about this whole Kinlaw situation. If you're going to blame anybody, blame the Niners front office on this one. Don't blame the kid or Kinlaw as much as you want to. And as much as I want to say he's bum.
It's not his fault.
The Niners knew about these knee injuries, this knee issue, and they said it could be something that could turn into arthritic. I saw something on Jesse Naylor's Twitter, and he was talking about he has issues with his knee. And he was talking about, fluid retention and why things swell. And a lot of that, they said, can be connected to people that end up having arthritic knees down the line. And that some of those things, they're kind of connected. So the Niners knew all this. They had the medicals, they had the information, and they still decided to make this guy a top 15 pick. So as much as I would love to lambaste a guy and yell at him and get mad at him for going after Grant and being kind of a toolbox, it was really the Niners' decision to draft him in the first place. Like you said, he looked great, and that guy is like a mountain of a human being, muscles on muscles. He looked like the Incredible Hulk, but some guys are built like Tarzan and play like Jane, or their bodies listen. I'm 43 years old and my body's falling apart. I have a bad knee now. I have a bad shoulder. My back hurts.
And you didn't play professional football.
And I didn't play professional sports. If I would have played sports, guys, I would have been retired at 30.
Yeah.
Some people's genetics are just, I don't know, man. Some of us are born and we can never get a cavity, never hurt ourselves. And then there's people who, it's just, I don't know. It's genetics, man. But yeah, that's on the Niners. Holy poop. We got Peo Time in here. My favorite Rams content creator. He says, two legends. Howdy. We have Blue True, who I think is someone I always see in Jay's channel.
Appreciate that, Blue True.
Blue True with the $3 super sticker. Thank you very much. Paleo Time says all of Canada has experienced heartbreak from the Blue Jays loss today. I am so sorry, my man. At least you still got your Rams, homie.
Yeah.
Brian Culp, hey, what's up, man? Thank you for coming in here. Another huge supporter of the channel. My boy, one of my gaming buddies, I haven't seen him in a long time. Charles Drake, what's up? He says, hi, Aaron. Love the stream. Thank you, Charles. Charles is not even really a football fan. He just loves giving me griefs about the Chiefs beating the 49ers.
Hey,
we all
need them in 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, we got to get those guys back for beating us in the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's going to do it, but Brian Culp says, Aaron and Jay, what's good? I'm real good. I'm happy I don't have to work tomorrow. And I can stay in and watch football and be happy, and hopefully the Niners win, and then I can act like a fool on the NWO stream on Monday. Real quick, NWO stream Monday. My nephew might actually make an appearance for the first time ever on YouTube.
Nice.
And I want everybody to be there because you're going to be really shocked about how we don't look anything alike, but we share the same kind of middle of the road kind of like confidence with the 49ers. And you're gonna be like, damn, he's just like his uncle. So I hope you guys can pop in there. One of the things I want to talk about coming away from the injuries, actually, no, we got to talk about, I totally forgot. So Verrett and Ward were cleared to open the practice window to make their way back. Verrett's not quite there yet, or the Niners aren't really chancing it or whatever, but Jimmy Ward was activated. Kyle Shanahan said he will play tomorrow, but he won't play a full game. So him and Gibson, I guess, are going to platoon or whatever. How excited are you to have Jimmy Ward back there with as good as Talanoa Hufanga is playing in both corners, really killing it? How dominant can this secondary be?
I feel like the defense will be even better, if that's even possible. How can this defense get any better? But how can you not get better when you have the captain, one of the longest tenured 49ers back on the roster and back healthy? So, man, I can't wait to see Jimmy Ward out there. I'm glad Shanahan, they're not expecting him to play every snap. I don't think you should definitely do that. But I think, ease him in and allow him to get some reps, because we definitely want him to be 100%, playing against Kansas City, right? We're going to need everything we got against KC. But, yeah, I think having the captain back on defense is only going to help elevate this defense. And, man, Ward and Hufanga. And, hey, Ward said, I think in training camp, he said, hey, this is going to be the best 49er, safety tandem that they've had in a while. So Hufanga's balling out. We've all seen it. And to get Jimmy Ward back, I think it's like icing on the cake to get Jimmy Ward back. And I think Tyshawn Gibson, I think he's played well.
He's played really well.
He's been a Pro Bowler, in the past few seasons. So I don't think this defense, obviously, it hasn't taken a step back since he's been in there. So I think we could see maybe a 3 safety rotation.
Yeah, kind of like we did with Marcel Harris, kind of kind of platooning as a linebacker at the same time.
And also we did with Tavarius Moore as well. So
yeah, he's kind of the odd man out right now. They're not really missing him too much.
I think he's hurt. I think he's battling a hamstring issue, and I guess there's really no rush for him to return, especially if he's not healthy. I want to look real quick to see the practice report. I don't know if he didn't practice all week. Tavarius Moore did not practice all week, so obviously he's not going to be playing in this game. So, hey, he can take his time, rest up, and get healthy, because we know he is only a year removed from, I think he had the torn Achilles, right? So now he's got the hamstring, so he just needs to get healthy.
Paleo had a question. He says, if the Niners have a close win over the Panthers, will Niners fans be disappointed, or is a win a win? I think to me, it's kind of like, I'm happy we won, but when you play a team that you think you're like significantly better than, and you barely kind of squeak out a win, it is for if someone to say they're not concerned, if they're a real fan, they're lying. Because if a team is barely hanging on and you barely beat them, and then you see someone else who maybe is equal in what people have as expectations in your team, and they go and they smoke those dudes, and then it's like, maybe the Niners aren't as good as we thought. I'll take a 10-point win. I'll take a 3-point win. But, yeah, I would hope the Niners would blow the doors off. And Jay's got me into that mindset now too. So Niners better not disappoint me tomorrow.
I would be a little disappointed if we won like 24-20. I think that would be disappointing. Obviously, at the end of the day, a win is a win. But yeah, I would be a little disappointed because I think we're significantly better than the Panthers, and I think we'll see that come Sunday. But yeah, I would be a little disappointed. But of course, I'd rather have that one go to the win column and not the loss column. What's good? What's good, Livy's World?
It's Livy's World. Okay. Apparently, Jay knows who Livy's World is. I think I've seen her in your stream before. She says, "What's good?" First takes in Jay. Show some love and hit that like button. Go, Jimmy. Go, go, go. Oh, you're messing.
Jimmy, go, go, go.
Oh, nah, dude. I can't do that.
I'm trying to send positive vibes.
I know. You are. You're a good guy.
KD, what's good?
Corey Davis in the building. Oh, is supporting literally everybody's stream on YouTube who's a 49ers content creator. So thank you, Corey, for coming in through here. I guess the thing that I was excited for too is the fact that Verrett, they don't really need him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Verrett is like extra ammo in the freaking the gun that we don't really need to shoot off right now. We can wait. To me, I would say if the Niners don't really need him, you keep him for a playoff run, man, and you run out your 4 best corners on the field or 3 best corners on the field, and you have your best safeties on the field, and hopefully Azeez El-Shaair comes back and the defensive tackles come back, and if the Niners can somehow make it into the playoffs this year, their defense will be. Some people are saying the Niners could have one of the best defenses of all time. I'm not going that far yet. It's literally
not after 4 games. You don't want to go there just yet.
Not yet, dude. Give me about 10 games. Give me about 10 games. If the Niners are playing like this with 10 games gone through the season, then I'll start to make those proclamations. But
hey, man,
I noticed some of us get really excited when we win a game, and we kind of get caught up in the moment, just like how some of us get caught up in the negativity when we lose.
Right.
You have to kind of temper things. That's why I say I almost think like a player. I get one day to celebrate, and then by Wednesday, I'm like, all right, time to get over the last game, and let's talk about it.
It's feast or famine. I mean, it's 17 games, and there's not this isn't baseball. This isn't 162 games. This isn't the NBA. It's 80, so it's not 82 games. And the rivalry between the 49ers and Rams, some could say it's not a rivalry because we've dominated them over the last 3 years. But yeah, between the fans, you look online, social media, all the back and forth, which is all good and fun as long as we keep it respectful, which a lot of Rams fans, it's always respect. But it is funny to go back and forth, and that was a huge win. You imagine where we would be if we were 1-3. I know it's only 4 games, but people were saying, "Oh, you got to fire Shanahan and all this stuff." But that's the fun part about being a fan, short for fanatic. You live and die almost on every play. And I think this is a win that you cherish because it's against a division rival. We're 2-0.
And they're the Super Bowl champions too.
Yeah,
they won the bowl last year. People say, well, they're not the team that they were. Blah blah blah. No team usually is. Everybody's got injuries. I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
How many times have the Niners got smoked by somebody, and we try to come out and say, well, the Niners were hurt, and the people will say, that's so. You got to still find a way to win. So that argument goes both ways. But no, I think the Rams in the long run will be there. I have the feeling. Just like sometimes Tom Brady in his career struggled early in a year, or this quarterback or that quarterback. And I always tell my brother, come playoff time, they're going to be there. And sure enough, it always happens. Just like my brother called the Cardinals collapsing last year.
Mm-hmm. And
they did. Sometimes you can see something burning out fast, and sometimes you can see enough from a quarterback over, say, 15 years to know that maybe he's struggling in January or in September and part of October, but by November, December, and crunch time, dude's going to be money. And sure enough,
well machine.
And
the first month of the season, a lot of starters, they don't play preseason, so they're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And they figure that out in September, and hopefully the rest, the next 12 games, you already know what's worked. You're just slowly changing some things here and there, but for the most part, what works for your team. But you kind of have to figure that out because, free agency, a lot of players come in, they're different. You're adding them to your playbook. You have to figure out what works for them, what works for you. So the first month, you can't overreact. But, I mean, the 49ers, we know for sure this defense is elite. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a mirage. As long as we stay healthy on defense, I think we'll be just fine. And Charvarius Ward, man, I mean, Mooney Ward, I mean, he's been a godsend. We haven't had a corner like this. I know Sherman was good, but he wasn't in his prime anymore. That wasn't prime Richard Sherman we had with Seattle. So
you got kind of the rundown version.
Yeah, but this secondary is incredible, and Talanoa Hufanga, man, 5th round pick. What a steal that was. And I'm glad I think it's safe to say I'm glad we moved on from Jaquiski Tartt. I know he was that steady vet. He was kind of like, hey, he's your Jeff Wilson Jr. He's not going to lose the game for you usually.
But he ain't going to get that turnover that's going to win it for you either.
I know, right? But exactly,
he might even drop it.
But he'll be steady for the most part. He's consistent, but he doesn't make the big play, and that's what Huff definitely brings to this defense. The big play, the attitude. He's going to knock you out, and he's going to intercept the ball. So, yeah, man, this defense is unbelievable.
Real quick, Kurt asked me where I got my hat. I got it last year, I think, off of the New Era website.
It's clean.
I saw it, and it looked clean. It kind of matched my hoodie that I got last year. I'm not big on like a ton. Like I got my Faithful to the Bay jacket, but I don't ever wear it because you have to wait till winter. But yeah, like I treat myself once in a while to try to, but I try to look clean because I'm a 40-something-year-old guy. You can't be wearing jerseys and t-shirts all the time. So if you're gonna wear something, you got to make sure that it's clean. And even though you look like a fool because you're 40 and you're wearing it, at least it looks nice. So
yeah, I like what Silverado Kev said.
Yep. Funny how beating the Rams seems to jumpstart our runs and ascension. Yeah, because they're kind of one of those barometer teams. Yeah. They have an elite corner, they have an elite defensive tackle, they have a quarterback, regardless of what you say about him.
Got them.
Listen, we didn't stop Cooper Kupp last week. We just stopped everybody else. Like he got his, he feasted.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. So, and in a way, that's how you let it happen sometimes. Let the dude get his and just shut down everybody else. So,
yeah, you're not going to shut down, the greats. You can only try to contain them. And the most important part was we didn't allow a touchdown last week.
No, 3 field goals. I did not expect. Incredible.
Yeah.
Like I thought the Rams would at least put 21 points on us last week.
Yeah, and the Rams' first drive, they were going down the field, but as soon as they got to the red zone, it was like a stone wall. So,
Niners were definitely bend but don't break, and then they kind of transform into just not even bending at all last week.
Exactly.
7 sacks. That was amazing. But me and my nephew talked about this. The Rams had a really bad line, but but then you have that onus, like now you better get those sacks, and they did. Like if there's a weakness there and you can't exploit it, and it's been talked about, and you are as talented as you think you are, then it makes you look, maybe people question you, be like, well, maybe they're not that talented. The fact that the Niners did exploit that weakness to the point where it was almost like taking candy from a child was even what made me really happy, because they took that advantage and they freaking crushed it. So,
and that's what separates the average from the good to the great, is you're able to exploit that weakness and you make it look easy. And I think that's the same thing that's going to happen against Carolina tomorrow. And yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I would say this. I think the only way the Niners don't beat out, or I should say blow out the Panthers, I think we will get another interception, and I think we will get another defensive touchdown. But if we can't block Brian Burns and we're not able to create a clean pocket for Jimmy, and the running game sputters, which I don't think it should,
it'll be a lot closer than it should.
It'll be closer, right? It'll be honestly like the Rams game. It'll be close. Like we're not going to allow many touchdowns, if any. Well, we might allow a few field goals, but it could sputter. That's the only way I can see us not blowing out, because we haven't really seen yet. Seattle, okay, Seattle. That's when the offense looked, I guess, its best so far, but. We haven't really seen this Niners team put up 30 points on a team yet. We haven't really seen that yet. So,
Corey, you're asking a question about the topic we're about to hit next. And
Right.
the question is, and I asked this to Amin on Friday: is Kittle cooked, or is it the way the Niners are using him?
Great minds think alike, KD.
I'll be honest with you, and I know a lot of people. Like, listen, I give props to the good ones. Grant Cohn has made some interesting points about Kittle, and that, hey, should the Niners move on from him when he still has value? Is he on the downside of his career, considering his physicality and how he plays and the injuries that he's dealt with? Or is it more or less he didn't have much of an offseason? He was, in that offseason, he was injured the last part right before the season started, hadn't had a chance to practice. He's still kind of coming into himself. Are the Niners using him for a blocker? Is it a bunch of things, or is it one of those things that we should not be concerned about? That and in midseason, Kittle will be right back to the form that we're used to seeing him. Like, what is the actual reason? Is he? I could tell by the smirk on your face you don't think he's cooked. So what?
Man. Kittle's cooked, man. Trade him. Get him out of here. Get 85 out of here, man. But hey, I respect Grant Cohn's opinion. But there's no way I would trade George Kittle. There's no way. He brings so much to this team, just in a physicality standpoint. It's not his fault the Niners don't use him. I mean, you see Travis Kelce, you see Mark Andrews, you see all these other great tight ends put up huge numbers. The Niners don't use Kittle that way. So
no.
An argument could be made. Why did you pay him if you're not going to use him? That's a fair argument right there. But
it's a very fair argument.
I think you just got to target him more. The same way you want to get the ball in Debo's hands and the Ayuk show's hands, get it in the Kittle's hands.
That man is criminally underused.
Yeah, it's
Ayuk,
it's bad.
Criminally underused.
Yeah, you could do some tight end screens to Kittle, quick slants. He could run the whole route tree. You just got to get him the ball. And like I said last week, he didn't have any targets in the first half last week, and I think he ended up with in maybe 3 or 4 catches in the game. So they did start to target him in the second half. But yeah, there's no way he's cooked. We just underutilize him. That's basically what it is. We don't utilize him. So
Luke Luna in the chat. I haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. At least not Luke. Like really actively in the chat. He was in here the other day, actually. He said Jimmy averages like 27 points something a game when he plays. So he thinks we're at least going to hit that this game. I do too. Like I said, the only way that doesn't happen is, like Jay says, is the offensive line just completely implodes with Brian Burns and the running game can't get going. So
one thing I heard, and it's maybe the 49ers don't want to use Kittle, kind of like what Brian said at the bottom. You kind of got to save them for the end of the season. Also, with Kittle coming back from that groin injury, maybe they don't want to re-aggravate it. So maybe it's easier for Kittle's body to just block than run pass patterns the whole game. Like, because he's not running and, you're blocking. Hey, you're just getting in your stance and, you're getting your hands on a guy. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we're not really seeing an explosive Kittle, because he's coming back from that groin injury. They don't want to re-aggravate it. So maybe they're easing him in. Hopefully he'll have a more productive receiving stats in the second half and in the playoffs compared to right now, because I think right now he's probably only averaging maybe like 2 or 3 catches a game, and that's just a joke for a type of talent that Kittle is.
Yeah, the Niners have too many players on this offense that are game changers that they're not getting involved right now. So Kyle can figure out a way to start, opening up that playbook a little bit. Have a little bit more faith in his playmakers to do things with the ball and put them in positions to do it. I know Kyle can do that as a coach. I know a lot of people are saying fire Kyle. I've never believed in firing Kyle, but I always think that people should be held accountable.
Absolutely.
But until you show me a coach who could do better than him, as far as like someone who's it is an upgrade, I'm not quite ready to move on from him. But it's fair to criticize it and hold people accountable. That's definitely fair. 49er Mind and Bashar, one of my NWO brothers from Monday, says, "What's good, Aaron and Jay in the Bay? Thanks for coming in here, Bashar." Bashar is out of town visiting family, visiting his sister, his niece. So I appreciate you taking time away from that to come in here. It means a lot to me. Thank you for the support. I'll tell you what, man. There is a majority of the 49ers YouTube community. I would consider them maybe, you have certain people you consider maybe like top tier. And then there's this like all huge body of like people like Jay, myself, Bashar, like all of us are really close. I think is that to me is like the lifeblood of like the community, because it's like all of us are kind of running the same race and we all kind of support each other. And I find it really nice that even if it's like a 2-minute thing and you just come into the stream to say, hey, I'm going to bed, but I just want to pay my respects.
Yeah.
That's always appreciated. Just to have something reciprocated once in a great while is always nice. It makes you feel as if, people give a damn. So thank you, Bashar, for coming in here.
Absolutely.
Silverado. No, did you misspell his name? Too bad we didn't beat the Rams when it mattered. Yeah. I'm not really worried about that anymore. That was last year. I want to move on. I guess we jump topics here because, we're coming up on the hour. Two things that have kind of concerned me, and I know they concern you, is, we're having this left tackle situation now with Trent Williams not being there. And now, we're relying on a guy like Jalen Moore, and we all know how bad he played in Denver.
Yeah.
Almost got Jimmy put on freaking IR. And then the weird kind of platoon that's happening at right guard right now with Brunskill and Spencer Burford. What do you make of this kind of, we're 5 games into the season and we still have offensive line kind of like unrest going on. What is your take on all that?
Part of the NFL season, I think, now we have a third string left tackle in there. So I think they're gonna, struggle a little bit at that position. And that's another reason why Kittle will be beside him, helping him block. I think Aaron Banks is playing pretty well. Hey, he's panning out so far. I think Brendo's solid. And then at right guard, I think they want to ease in Daniel Brunskill. I think eventually he'll probably start somewhere on the interior of the offensive line. Kind of surprised they don't put him at left tackle, but I guess they want to continue shuffling between Burford and Brunskill. I think Brunskill can help push Burford to be a better player. When you have that person behind you and they could take your spot, I think it could help elevate your play. And I think that's what that's coming to. We haven't really heard from McGlinchey. And you know what the bad part is about offensive linemen? You really only talk about them if there's an injury or, hey, you gave up that block on third and 8. Like that's honestly the only time we talk about offensive linemen. But I think for the most part, as a unit, they play pretty well. They've kept Jimmy upright. I would say, last game against the Rams, I don't think Banks has allowed a sack. I don't believe so.
Yeah, Banks has actually played the best out of like a lot of people on this offensive line, other than Trent Williams.
Yeah, so that's a good sign. And I think, hey, Burford's young; he's only a rookie. I think no one really anticipated him to start. Once it was clear that he was the best person for the job, then yeah, he got that opportunity. But hey, Aaron Banks didn't start last year because there was a better person in front of him, and Lincoln Tomlinson. And going into training camp, there was no better right guard. Now, maybe if Brunskill was healthy throughout the entire training camp, maybe he would have started at that right guard spot. But I think it's great to see the young big man out there, and he's versatile. He could be our right tackle next year. Like, we never know, but it's good to see these young offensive linemen gel, because I think they'll continue to get better week by week, and that's what they need. They need the snaps. They need the experience, kind of like number 5, like, hey,
yeah,
that's what sucks about him. He's not getting the snaps and experience, and now he's back to square one next year. So, but I think eventually Brunskill will start on the offensive line somewhere.
I want to ask you this, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Thank you very much, by the way. I appreciate it. We do. We have a good chat going on tonight. Thank you very much, Brian. What was your take? Because I know I was pretty upset about it, and I asked my nephew about it a couple weeks ago. This has nothing to do with the game we're talking about, guys. This has to do with when Trey Lance got hurt. How did it bother you at all that like Trey went out and he was injured, and then Jimmy scored that touchdown and everyone was tapping him on the helmet, and it was like Jimmy, go, go, go. I found that to be in like really poor taste, and I was really upset at the time. Like, really? Like, your commander in chief went down, broke his freaking, ankle like a twig. And then you're doing this thing where you're slapping the backup quarterback on the head. It just, I don't know. It didn't sit well with me when it happened. What was your take on that? I already know what you're going to say, but I'll let you go.
Well, I feel two things can be true.
Okay.
I think Trey's teammates were devastated for him, especially when you saw Trent Williams. When you saw Trent Williams turn away, whenever you see a player hurt on the field and the rest of his teammates turn away because they don't want to look, it's basically a season-ending injury. Hell, it could be even a career-ending injury. So I think players were devastated for Trey, but we can't take out the human element. Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Mike McGlinchey, these guys have been around Jimmy G for the past 4 years at least, some days 5 years. And I know there's Jimmy fatigue within the fan base, and that's real. Exactly. And me too. I am a little tired of him, but he's with the team and got to support him.
I know.
At least root for him. At least root for him.
You're right.
That he does well.
If we're rooting for him gets us a win, then I'll root for him.
Exactly. And I wasn't upset that the guys celebrated with Jimmy because they like Jimmy. They know Jimmy. They've been through ups and downs with Jimmy. Anyone could think of anyone a coworker, a cousin, a friend, whatever. When you go through ups and downs with someone, I think it strengthens your bond together. And that's what they did. They saw Jimmy get hurt. They saw Jimmy help them and get to the playoffs. They saw Jimmy in the Super Bowl. So I think I wasn't surprised by it at all. I know some people were like, "Oh, well, how can you celebrate Jimmy and not think about Trey?" I think because as an NFL player, you have to move on. Guys get hurt all the time, and you have to move on. You have to go to we always praise players, right? When we say, "Hey, he's got a short memory." So if the corner gets beat on one play, it doesn't matter. It doesn't faze him. He still is confident and he moves on to the next play. That's what the players have to do. And I think Trey is still involved with the team. Shanahan said, "Hey, he hasn't missed a game yet," or excuse me, he hasn't missed like a meeting yet. We've seen Trey on social media still hang out with the players. I don't think he can travel with the team yet.
No, now with that kind of
but he's still involved. He's still very involved with the team. But yeah, as fans, honestly, when I saw it, I was like, "Dang, man, the season's over. Now we have to rely on Jimmy G."
Yeah, I
was very disappointed.
That was a very hard game, even when we won. People were like, "Well, you beat Seattle." I'm like, "Yeah, but Trey broke his ankle." Like that was one of the hardest. That was almost as bad as the Super Bowl losing to the Chiefs. I had that same kind of like gnawing feeling in my stomach after that whole situation. And I was just like, who cares? Yeah. I know a lot of people, and I'm one of them. I get caught up in my feelings sometimes, and I start to be irrational with my emotions. And then sometimes after I kind of Jay's like, no way. After I step away from things and kind of let my head clear, because I'm an emotional guy. I'm a temperamental individual. It's just who I am. Some of us are like that. Some of us are not.
But that's part of your fandom. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. After a game, I want to cry. And then the next day, I'm like, well, you have to move on to the next opponent.
Exactly. Listen, I'm a New Yorker, okay? For a lot of people that don't know. New York people from this side of the country, we're just like, we speak our mind, just like people from Philadelphia, Chicago. There's a different type of, like, the media here is harder. People are really held like to a different standard. West Coast, it's just a different deal. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think the West Coast is more of like a laid back, even the media. I mean, the media in New York, man, they're like confrontational almost to the point where they want to fight the person on the stand. So I have a little bit of that like New York thing where I'm just like not impressed by anything unless we win a Super Bowl. And if somebody's like, well, you beat this team last week. And I'm like, yeah, so what? We got to do it in the playoffs. And people are like, well, you're not enjoying the moment. I'm like, yeah, that's just how I am. And that's how I am. I get very much into my feelings. But listen, I can be wrong, and Jimmy can win us a Super Bowl this year, and I will eat all the crow you guys want because we win a championship. But I'm never against that. But at the same time, when that situation happened, I was in a lot of different emotional places. I was angry that everyone was cheering Jimmy and Trey was just kind of like left to be forgotten about. But at the same time, you're right. They've went through a lot of stuff with him, a lot of battles. So, why wouldn't they be supportive?
Yeah.
Mariah said, I agree. I was sick and upset after the Trey injury. Yeah, a lot of fans were. There was definitely a groan on Twitter where people were like, screw this team.
Yeah.
Screw Jimmy.
And a lot of people were blaming Shanahan, which is fair. I mean, he put him in that position to, because Shanahan it seemed like Shanahan trusted him more as running the football. But I would love to see the breakdown of his passing stats because I believe he threw more passes than he ran. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like he was completely using him as a running back. But, the offense that we see Jimmy now, I feel like Trey can do the same things. And
that's what I'm saying.
He can be better. Shanahan, you just got to trust him. And, yeah, he's going to struggle. Anytime you do something at the highest level, yeah, you're going to struggle. So and Shanahan's in a tough place because he's got this Super Bowl ready roster that we all love to say, but also he's got to mentor and develop basically a rookie quarterback. So it's like
who's going to be pretty much a rookie next year again because he has barely played, and the Niners are going to be right back in the same position.
Yep, but hopefully. Hey, if Jimmy wins us the Super Bowl this year, that'd be a great problem to have. That would be another roller coaster type offseason for the 49ers.
Should we re-sign him?
I know, right?
Should we trade Trey away and re-sign Jimmy to a contract extension? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Because people will go there.
I would take number 6 knowing that because then it'd be a quest for number 7. And sometimes that happens. You look at Philly. Hey, they had Carson Wentz. He went down. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, and I think eventually they kept Foles the following year, and then they shipped him off the next season. So, hey, it can happen, but that'd be a great problem to have.
Brian Culp says, with everything that happened, you still expect the team to celebrate with a score. You do.
Hard.
You do.
It's hard. The league is hard. These guys prepare 24/7 during the offseason. And I know you love George Kittle's workout videos. The guy is a workout warrior. But hey,
save some of that for the season, man.
But it's a tough league, so you got to celebrate when you do something good, man. And yeah, I didn't take any offense to the guys celebrating Jimmy, not at all.
Mariah says that hoodie is fire. Thank you. I got this last year along with the hat at certain points in the season. I see stuff I'm just like everybody else. I'll see something like on a website and be like, ooh,
that's nice.
Can I use my credit card on this? I think I will. Can I do 4 payments that only make it like $10 a shot? Absolutely. Anytime I could do a quad payment and get myself like a hat and a freaking hoodie, I'll do it. So
yeah, because the hats are expensive. It's like $50.
This was like a $50, and I think this was like 80 or 100. I don't know. Real quick, and then we'll get out of here because we've hit the hour mark, and I know you are a family man. Your score prediction for Sunday. I'm going to go first only because I want to see what you have to say.
Yeah.
Being what me and you have discussed, and me being a person who can easily have his mind changed by peer pressure, I'm going to go 49ers 27, Carolina Panthers 13.
Okay. And I think that's a reasonable score prediction. I think that would mean it's a close game. I mean,
for a bit, and maybe the Niners pull away.
Right, and the Niners, pull away maybe in the fourth quarter or something. I'm going out on a limb. I have never made a prediction like this, but I feel so strongly about the Niners going into Carolina. There's no reason the Niners should keep this game close versus the Panthers. I just don't see how they're going to move the ball. This Niners defense is playing at the top of its game. We're getting Jimmy Ward back. Now, we will be missing Javon Kinlaw. We will be missing Eric Armstead, but his, their reserves, Givens, Hassan Ridgeway, Akeem Spence. I don't know if he's on the active roster, but he could play.
I think they signed him to the that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would have to check. I think he's on the active roster, you would think. But I know for sure that Ridgeway and Givens.
Corey Davis.
I like you. I like where Corey Davis is going.
Him and Brian Culp are both expecting blowout here.
Yeah, and I'm making it even better. I'm taking the Niners to win 31-0. That's what I'm taking.
Boom. Shutout, baby.
Let him out in their home stadium. Absolutely.
Oh, they'll see. Those are those games when it's a game like this. Those are the games where, like, by the third quarter or top of the fourth quarter, I'm just not even caring. I'm going in the room and my brother's room and watching the other game on TV.
Someone left a comment. I think they said it might have been Corey Davis. He said, "Why aren't they using Jordan Mason?" Hopefully, they use Jordan Mason.
That's what we're thinking too. I think they need to listen. I think the two things that need to happen tomorrow: they need to use Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
Start using other people in the passing game, just in case something happens to Debo. We know we can go to other people. Like try to involve Trey more. Try to involve Ray McLeod more. Ayuk more.
See Danny Gray. He's active. Will we see
I
Danny
hope,
Gray tomorrow?
I was one of the people that one of the reasons I was upset that Jimmy was playing is I thought Danny Gray would become an afterthought.
Yeah.
We're going to get to see, hopefully. Hopefully the Niners find a way to get him the ball in space, maybe like a crosser or a post or something, and let this man's got like track speed. So hopefully the Niners can get him in the open field. But listen, guys, we had a great time here tonight. I appreciate all the support in the chat. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to feel like me and Jay need to do this on a regular basis. I know we both got tight schedules, but man, it felt good to do it. It's been a long time. Me and Jay are OG. We're like kind of like OG as far as like we met each other both as we were kind of both creating our channels, and we kind of both had, a growth on YouTube. And it's been nice meeting a lot of people, kind of like someone like Beto, for instance, who I respect to great lengths, mainly because he went to all 5 Super Bowl championships that we won. Now, how can you beat that as a fan? Like he's one of my favorite people as well. Like I said, there's a lot of people that I respect quite a bit in this community, but thank you everybody for coming on here. It's been great. I can't wait for the game tomorrow, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are too. Me and Jay are going to get out of here and do our stuff that's not in front of the video scope. And hopefully you guys all have the rest of your night and hope it all goes well and everybody's good. And I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm sure Jay, if you check his channel, he'll let you know. Jay, when's the next time you're streaming?
I'll be streaming tomorrow, probably at maybe 11:45 noon. Just a little quick pregame show.
Okay.
49ers Panthers latest news. You can check me out on Jay in the Bay on YouTube, IG, Twitter, Facebook. I even have TikTok now, so feel free to view me there. But yeah, I appreciate always coming on to the 49ers First Takes YouTube channel, man. And as you say, man, we've been knowing each other through YouTube for about 2 years, and it's always a great time talking to you about 49er football, man.
Definitely. Everybody in the chat, thanks. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys later.